people in emergency services work and medical services that are constantly dealing with people, their risk is a little bit more. The average person doesn't deal with as many people as they used to anyway, so it shouldn't it shouldn't impact them. I was noticing how many people I know that weren't impacted by this whole quarantine. It seems like we've got a generation here that are in a state of self quarantine already by getting everything via the internet and communicating with people electronically. It's fascinating how much has changed. Supplies, yeah, you should always have food in your house. You should always have enough food to go a week, 10 days. People usually keep 3 days or less now. Well, I'm a huge fan of toilet paper. I don't think people need to be buying bales of it and putting it on the roof of their car like it's end of days. There's no association with this virus and needing toilet paper. Without getting graphic, it doesn't impact people in that way. It's more of a respiratory thing. It's more of a top thing than a bottom thing. So don't worry about it. Stop buying all the toilet paper. Now the thing is, people have been trying to return the toilet paper, and the stores are taking it back. And I can't say I blame them. You can't return toilet paper. It shouldn't be returned. It's just it was a bad mistake you make. You made. You want to make your own antiseptic, 91% alcohol, 2/3 of that, 1/3 aloe vera. Mix it up, and you've got your own. You can add oils and such to make it smell the way you want to without going nuts, but you've got your own at that point. Be careful with the hand sanitizers, though, the anti-microbacterial ones, because there are good bacteria that live on your hands, and overuse can hurt those bacteria. Just use it enough, come up with your routine, but you don't have to do it obsessively. Just do it, just have a routine. What's going to happen next? We're going to see this thing is going to skyrocket. And it's going to skyrocket not necessarily because it's worse, but because we're going to have more data. More tests will come back because there are more tests now. More people will test positive. The numbers will go up. So just be patient. Take the news with a grain of salt. Don't saturate yourself with the news. You don't focus on what's best for you and what's healthy. Don't work yourself too hard, and pace yourself through this thing. If you're sick, you can't help others, and I'm sure there's somebody dependent on you. Stay home if you have to, and work from home if you have to. Single best way to prevent this thing is just hand washing. Can't emphasize that enough. Stay at home and rest. Saying these things multiple times because they should be said. Should you? This has come up. This is why I'm saying it. Don't laugh. Should you spray yourself or your children or your pets with disinfectants? No, don't do that. It's a bad thing. There's other chemicals in there that you don't want on a living creature. So don't spray yourself down with disinfectants. That's not a good thing. The majority of them are more for objects than they are for people. There are no evidence that home remedies can stop this. Holistic things can help as long as you get ahead of the curve with them and you're using them regularly and you're behaving yourself in other ways. But as far as actually stopping them, no, this is already ahead of it. Is this a survivable thing? Absolutely. This is absolutely survivable. It's been blown out of proportion in many ways by the media because just we have this news cycle where everybody wants to outshock and outscare us. and we're seeing things 10, 20 times a day. So just take it with a grain of salt. If why is it taking so long? Because we run things through rigorous tests here in this country to make sure they're safe for people. And sometimes that helps, sometimes it doesn't. But I think it's the best way to be. And I think we do a decent job most of the time with that in our testing. That's why we have less people that are hurt by our pharmaceuticals. I guess I'm trying to think of other things people have asked me about it. They've asked if if it impacts our response in emergency services. No, and it makes it careful. And search and rescue is different. We're dealing with people at different stages of stuff. We've just got to practice the same cautions we've always practiced, and just be diligent. That's what you do in these times. And and you kind of press on. We have this thankfully isn't impacting younger people as much as some things have in the past, but there's just not enough data yet, and there will be soon. There will be actual data that we could quantify and see how it's impacting things. But right now, we're just throwing information out there, and we're just getting too much of it. The basis of all this is everybody, I'm sure, is well intentioned, but they are scaring people. We're tougher than this. We've been through worse. 100 years ago, they had outbreaks, the same thing. These things are cyclical. It's the nature of the planet. It's the nature of nature. And it's, do smart things, make smart decisions, avoid crowds, of course. I mean, without being completely antisocial, avoid crowds as much as you can. Sanitize whatever you can. Spittle, sneezing, coughing, airborne liquids from other people, well, we should always avoid them. And I would say that a really big thing about this is the employer's aspect of it, and for employees that are suddenly find themselves without work, and I know a bunch of people like that, unfortunately. You can't, if you have it, I don't believe they can fire you. I think it might be an OSHA violation to make you work in an environment where it is, and the companies really should do something to consider special circumstances of this and update things so that people have different opportunities. Don't just send people home. We're causing a trickle-down effect that is basically going to cascade and go into the summer. People are going to lose money. They're going to lose property. I see so much talk about this. I see so many people saying all these different things and speculating. There's some core things I can tell you is that I've seen a lot of talk, but I haven't seen a whole lot from the people that are going to benefit from it. The banks with foreclosures or their made-up late fees, which they completely make up. They don't need to sustain themselves. There's just extra gravy for them on top of higher interest rates. And here we go. They're going to be charging that. If the government wants to help with something, there's a bunch of things. Where we are, the governor declared a state of emergency. What we could have done right away, is say, when you're taking restaurants, you're making them go to takeout only. then instead of putting them out of business, instantly cancel the sales tax and let them keep the sales tax and put that into lost business and keeping their workers on. We've got to keep people working. If people want to work, we've got to keep them working. And they could do other things with waiving fees for registrations, licensing, and stuff like that. Help the small business owner. Help them sustain themselves. And help them get through this. We could do other things. Employers can reassign people in jobs. Catch up on different things. Hospitality industry. Catch up on getting the rooms ready for the spring. Do all that housekeeping and stuff that you don't get to normally do. And do that in a crunch. Keep your people employed as long as possible. It doesn't help anybody. If those people are out of work, they'll find other places. They won't come back to you. Treat your employees right. And treat your employers right. You got to stick together in this. You can't say that you're there for each other and not be there. You got to stick together. So don't go nuts. Don't beat yourself up over this. Don't put yourself at risk. Travel. I'm not a big one on travel, so I'm the wrong guy to ask, but I think it's a crazy time to travel. You should cancel or rebook if you've got something scheduled. This thing has a relatively low mortality rate. You can get by it, and basically, I would say if you practice safe, best adult practices, and with this new social distancing, which has been around forever, it's just got a name, so I guess it's new now, you should minimize your chance of getting it. That doesn't put you in the clear, but it puts you closer to being there. And again, thanks to everybody, and I mean everybody out there, who goes to work, who does their job, who keeps the world moving through this and through other things. And all those people who do those courageous things, and I won't say heroic, but I'll say courageous, because I think the word hero is overused, but those people do those courageous things. Maybe we need to think about thanking them, and maybe their bosses should think about giving them a little more money when this is over, because they were on the front line, and the front line changes depending on the battle. But this definitely is a battle, and they've definitely been on the front line for all of us. So that being said, thank you all for listening. I hope you got something from this. I normally don't do shows on topics that'll be dated. This show will be dated, hopefully soon, and never needed again. And even though he's not here, and he actually called to see where I was twice, but I'm not in the studio with Russell. I'm going to say what I always say at the end of the show, because it's ended up what I've said, and I'll just do it without him. But the last words you guys hear are, hit the button, Russell. Bye-bye.